of course, Isaac Adongo. Isaac, how are you? You come from a very, very poor region. You can put on your microphone while I am asking the question. I'm told it's on already. Now, a very, very poor region, and I hear your opponents making attempts to water down the benefits of, for example, the 24-hour economy. From where you sit as an economist, somebody who understands issues about financing projects, what do you think the people in this region stand to benefit, looking at the spectrum of businesses that are within your enclave?
Well, thank you very much. First, we have to understand that His Excellency being here, whatever we are going to do is purely policy driven. His Excellency is going to speak to a number of policies that will help reset our country and bring the relief that our people need. It's unfortunate that a vice president that people expected so much from visited this region, and all he could tell them was that the presidency is coming to the north, and that if he was voted he would do 8 years. The constitution doesn't provide 8 years, it's for 4 years. But what is important is that that is not a campaign the people of Upper East want. They want you to tell them how you address their problems, and that is exactly what His Excellency is known for: putting policies forward, understanding the issues, and making sure that by the time he leaves, it is on the lips of the people of Upper East, and they were able to speak to the issues that he wants to address for the people. So our people understand that we are largely agrarian community. We rely on agriculture, and His Excellency has a track record in delivering to the sector of agriculture, which is where a lot of our livelihood comes from. So if you start from Busa North, you would find the Kori Dam, you'll find the Riaga Dam. If you go to the east, you'll find the Tamini Dam, which His Excellency constructed. Unfortunately, in the middle, the Bonabote area, His Excellency contracted a $150 million loan from the World Bank, which he used to establish the Ghana Commercial Agriculture. And the purpose of that was to rehabilitate one of the major dams in this sector, which is the Via Dam, but also to rehabilitate the Tono Dam, and to also move to northeast and develop a number of dams, and then grow a number of outgrowers, and who the people we call the businessmen who would assist the farmers when they produce their crops. We call them the aggregators. But he ensured that we constructed a number of warehouses across all these places. If you are somebody who is familiar with the terrain, immediately you hit Navrongo going towards Sandema, to Fumbisi, to what do you call it, aspects of northeast. You find a plethora of warehouses. They were all constructed under the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project. The reason was to give the opportunity to farmers to store their crops, so that when the lean season comes, they can put them on the market. He would continue that when he comes. And yet we're not shouting one district, one factory, or we're not shouting one village, one dam, but we're busy constructing and rehabilitating dams, and the examples are there to see. So on this tour, he would give a lot of hope to farmers. We are aware of his policy to provide agri-mechanization, the agriculture services centers, that would be a game changer for us. The aim is to help farmers have access to the range of equipment that they need on their farms for farm preparation, for harvesting, and all of that, but also to add fertilizer and other chemicals, but ensure that even when farmers don't have money at the critical stages of the production of their crops, the state is able to come in and provide the inputs, and hope that when the crops are harvested, then there's an arrangement for them to pay back those money. So those agriculture mechanization centers will be very, very important to our part of our country.
So it is good to hear this, because this largely the profession of the people in this region,
yes,
almost like the northern belt or northeast. So beyond this, what are the other critical issues that, in your opinion, must be addressed by John Mahama as he goes round? Because beyond agriculture, there are other concerns. You are a member of parliament, and with your 14 other colleagues, I am sure you've put in several efforts to get things done which have been ignored.
Yeah. So we believe that industrialization is the way to go, and the support to the agriculture sector is not only to provide food and income for our people, but to provide the source from which we can get raw material to feed the industry. And so in this enclave, the focus is to identify a number of opportunities that exist within the environment to grow industry. So rice processing is very key to us, so that when the farmers produce the rice, they have a place where the rice can be processed, and we can make those rice available to the citizens of Ghana in order to reduce the rice import bill. We started it. If you remember, Avnash, one of the largest rice processing factory, which was established in Yankpala during the time of His Excellency John Mahama. But we were not shouting over the roof that that is one district, one factory. We will continue that. Okay. We also had a policy to make sure that we provide enough cheaper electricity for companies that set up factories in this sector, in this part. So the Kwalgo multipurpose dam was primarily to provide the hub of cheaper hydro energy that can be discriminated for factories that will be set up here. We will go back to that and ensure that once we set up a manufacturing processing plant here, the electricity and the tariffs are cheaper, and that we will move to ensure that you get access to hydropower, which is a lot cheaper than thermal. So we will pursue that.
So that means even beyond that, I think the 24-hour policy proposal also recommends some reduced tariffs for people who will be exploiting that. But let me come to Auntie Joyce, who has been quiet for some time now. You are the face of John Mahama. He comes across as somebody who is humble, who many have built trust in over the period because of how they compare notes, i.e. Akufo-Addo Bawumia government and the Mahama administration, 8 years. But there is an issue that has bothered the former president as he goes round: the silence of critical opinion leaders who must be part of the conversation to get things done. You recently met the clergy. When you engage such groups, including CSOs, do they show concern, or it is the same story?
Well, let me not say that is that, it is not necessarily the case. I think, and now Isaac is here, that to be honest with you, many of the civil society organizations have actually been very, very supportive to the cause. They have actually been listening and speaking out against the injustice and unfairness, and especially the corruption. They've also been speaking largely to matters to do with hardship and how the economy has been completely mismanaged and destroyed. I think that in all fairness, some of them have actually stood up to be counted. And of course, even when you look at the clergy also, and our traditional rulers in particular, each house of chiefs we visited, and the recent one being the central region, you heard about the issues to do with the Commander factory, for example. And of course, as soon as Mr. Mahama said that he will revisit it when sworn into office, the very next day we heard the Minister for Trade coming to proclaim very loudly and boldly that we're going to sell it to an investor for 15 years, etc. So it tells you that there is enormous interest in a lot of these communities, even from traditional rulers, because look, at the end of the day, they are the immediate voices and the key stakeholders. And Mr. Mahama has been speaking to a very interesting policy about allowing them to be engaging at the level of the district assembly, especially when it comes to sanitation and sanitation management in the communities. Note that the Queen Mothers in particular are very concerned about matters to do with women and women-oriented businesses, etc. So there is a certain good balance that we seek to achieve as we go along. The only thing for me personally as a lawyer is that, look, we entreat, as the 1992 Constitution actually enjoins us, that our chiefs should avoid meddling too much in our politics. So, it's okay to highlight the challenges, it's okay to give advice. The challenge is when they go overboard and try a form of an endorsement, and you realize that every time there's a headline about a pseudo endorsement, they will come back and try to retract the story, etc. So these are the only concerns that we have. But I think that, look, when Mr. Mahama visited the Trades Union Congress of Ghana, I'm sure you recall the way the unionists received the policy on the 24-hour economy, and Ghana's actually working on a full industrialization, export-driven drive, because naturally we are an import-driven country. And so once we achieve that balance, everybody knows that if the Upper East is home to large agric interests, know that the Kwalugu Dam actually also comes across the whole of the White Volta. So it will not just be serving just this catchment area, but it will run across many of the other areas that actually border the dam in particular. So when you hear that $11.9 million has been expended at the risk of everybody who would be benefiting from this project, it leaves enormous interest in the minds of everybody. And even our chiefs are concerned about these huge sums of monies being wasted and nothing to show for. So corruption is a matter that concerns everybody. And you can see the way everybody wakes up every morning and they announce these scandals, they criticize them, they condemn them. Why do you think His Excellency the President saw the need to defend himself against that Ajapa document?